Today, I'm ranking every fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate based on how much I personally like them. This is not about who is the strongest. It's completely based on my own opinion. We are doing this from worst to best, starting off with number 89, Greninja. Greninja ranks near the bottom because I really dislike his ultimate render, especially the way his eye looks. I also do not enjoy his classic mode route because of how it involves two of my favorite characters. Even his victory clapping bothers me because it feels uninterested, almost like he is just saying meh. Overall, there are way too many little things about Greninja that makes me uncomfortable or annoyed whenever I see him. Before we continue, some of these placements may surprise you and only one character makes it into S tier. Number 88, Simon. Simon ranks this low because I don't like how angry he looks in his render. I also don't enjoy his moveset because many of his attacks feel difficult to land, which makes him frustrating for me to play. However, here's a fun fact. Richter ranks much higher for a couple of reasons, and I'll explain those once we get to him. Number 87, Lucario. Lucario ranks low because I really don't like his ultimate render. I really play as him, and his Final Smash feels too similar to Zero Suit Samus's. He also hasn't given me many reasons to become attached to him. Some lower ranked characters are not characters I hate, I just don't play them often, or there are things about their design and moves that stop me from becoming a fan. Number 86, Pokemon Trainer. I'm putting Pokemon Trainer this low because I rarely use this character in my Smash Bros. Stories, and sometimes they honestly get on my nerves. Out of the three Pokemon, Ivysaur is at the bottom for me. Charizard is next because, to be honest, I usually like heavyweights more. Squirtle is my favorite of the three because I think his design and moveset are really good. Even though I like Squirtle, it isn't enough to move Pokemon Trainer much higher overall. Number 85, Isabelle. I know a lot of people love Isabelle, so I'm sorry, but here's what brings her down for me. In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I usually play as Baby Peach, and Isabelle gets on my nerves almost every time. Unfortunately, that feeling followed her into Smash Ultimate, which makes it difficult for me to like her here. Villager goes much higher than Isabelle, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is actually one of the reasons for that too. I'll explain everything once we get to Villager. That wraps up for our F tier, from Isabelle all the way down to Greninja. These are my most disliked characters in the game. Now let's move on to the E tier. Number 84, Byleth. Byleth annoys me whenever I try to get the DLC Spirit Sophis. I know that battle is supposed to be very difficult and the spirit itself is really good, but the experience still makes Byleth frustrating for me. I also find Byleth's render a little annoying, and neither the male nor female version feels like a good match with one of my favorite characters, because all of those things together, Byleth ends up ranking pretty low. Number 83, Sheik. Sheik has a really fast moveset, which can be really fun, but many of the attacks are difficult for me to land. I also have to fight Sheik while using one of my favorite characters, and Sheik gets on my nerves no matter what difficulty I choose. I'm not a huge fan of the render either because Sheik looks slightly angry, but Zelda ranks a little higher though, and I'll explain why when we get to her. Number 82, Ridley. Ridley and Dark Samus both have a terrible victory theme in my opinion. Ridley is lower because I play Dark Samus more often than I play him, so I have a little more attachment to Dark Samus. I don't own any Metroid games, but that doesn't stop one Metroid character from going way higher on this list. We'll get into that character later. Number 81, Meta Knight. Meta Knight goes next because I like using Kirby against him, especially when I get to beat him up. However, his deep voice and the mask covering his face makes it harder for me to connect with him as a Kirby character. Those things do not push him too far down though, because he can still be really funny sometimes, especially when Kirby sends him flying with a Star KO. Number 80, King K. Rool. I like King K. Rool's Final Smash, but seeing him shoot the laser at Donkey Kong's island doesn't make me happy. His victory theme also isn't nearly as good as Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong's, in my opinion. So even there are things that I like about him, he still ranks pretty low. Number 79, Link. Link goes next because I'm not a big fan of how they changed him in Ultimate. I like his voice, Final Smash, victory theme, and design much more in Brawl and Wii U. Honestly, I think Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf were all better in those games. Their new Ultimate stylus brings all three of them down, but we're not at Zelda or Ganondorf yet, so I'll talk more about them later. Number 78, Banjo and Kazooie. Banjo and Kazooie have some really good attacks, and their Final Smash is pretty good too. The problem is is that their voices get a little annoying to me. I've also never played any of their games, so I'm not very attached to them, and I don't think their victory theme is that good either. Overall, there are some things I enjoy about them, but not enough to place them higher. Number 77, Pichu. Pichu is definitely adorable, and I know a lot of people love this character. The problem is that I don't like using Pichu very often because some of the attacks damage Pichu too. I know that's supposed to be part of the character's special playstyle, but I don't understand why I would want to hurt myself while attacking somebody else. Pichu's design is cute, but the self-damage brings the character down for me. Number 76, Dark Pit. Dark Pit goes next. Black is one of my 3 least favorite colors, so his darker design doesn't appeal to me very much. I also don't pay much attention to the Kid Icarus series, which means I'm not very attached to him. However, I wouldn't place him at the very bottom because his series has some really good music, and that gives me something to appreciate about him. Number 75, Palutena. I know a lot of people think Palutena is tricky, especially because she's the very last character in the Challengers Approach order for versus matches, but honestly, I don't see much wrong with fighting her. My biggest problem with Palutena is that a lot of her guidances about the other characters aren't that great in my opinion. That's what keeps her from ranking higher. Number 74, Zelda. Zelda has one bright side but 2 major downsides for me. The bright side is her moveset. I thought her attacks were really cool in Brawl, and I'm glad that many of those ideas continued to Ultimate. However, I don't like Zelda's new design or voice in Ultimate. I also frequently choose her as a CPU opponent alongside other characters, and she gets on my nerves almost every time. Her moves are still cool, but those problems keep her from ranking any higher. Number 73, Peach. I don't really see anything wrong with Peach in Smash Ultimate. Most of what brings her down actually comes from Super Mario Party. In that game, I find her to be one of the most annoying characters because she constantly gets on my nerves whenever I play as my favorite character. Unfortunately, that frustration carries over into how I feel about Peach in Smash, even though I don't have a major problem with her here. Number 72, Dark Samus. Dark Samus is slightly better than Ridley because I use Dark Samus more often, but they still share that terrible victory theme. Dark Samus also has a mostly black and blue design, and both of those colors are in my bottom 3 favorites. I prefer regular Samus because I like the older white much more. Pig can relate to that, but we'll get to both of them later. Number 71, Captain Falcon. Captain Falcon was originally going to be E tier because I don't play him as very often. However, I honestly can't find any major weaknesses from him. He's funny, surprisingly powerful, and extremely fast. The more that I think about it, the more I feel like E tier is too low for him, so he may move up to around C tier. That's everyone in E tier. Now we're moving up to D tier, where the characters start getting a little better for me. Number 70, Rob. Now we're getting into some characters who are tricky to judge because I don't play them very often, and Rob is one of them. I don't see too much wrong with him, but I really don't like how badly the Robs beat me up in Classic mode. That battle can get really frustrating. Still, I don't dislike Rob enough to place him in E or F tier, so D tier feels about right. Number 69, Little Mac. The main weaknesses I see with Little Mac are his victory theme and his Final Smash. His Final Smash feels almost identical to Donkey Kong's, which reminds me of the same problem I had with Lucario. However, I wouldn't put Little Mac in E or F tier because I still have fun using both Little Mac's and Donkey Kong's Final Smashes together in the same battle. That fun experience helps keep him D tier. Number 68, Inkling. According to my battle data, Inkling is one of my lowest playtime characters out of almost everyone. It doesn't matter whether I'm playing Mario Kart or Smash, Inkling just isn't really my type of character. I don't see anything particularly wrong with either the male or female Inkling, but I'm not very attached to them, and almost never chose them. That's why Inkling stays in D tier. Number 67, Olimar. Olimar goes next. His main Pikmin theme is one of the most annoying songs to me, and he also feels very weak whenever I use him. Even though I own a lot of games on my Switch, I never really played Pikmin, so I don't have much attachment to Olimar or his series. Those things keep him in D tier. Number 66, Robin. Robin would feel too low if I placed the character any further down. Both the male and female versions have some really good abilities. I especially like Robin's down special because it damages the opponent while restoring Robin's health. making the two characters feel the exact opposite during the attack. The neutral special is also very useful. The only thing that holds Robin back is that Lucina distracts me from using them because out of the awakening characters, I choose Lucina much more often. Number 65, Ganondorf. I absolutely love Ganondorf's attack power. His attacks are extremely strong, and that makes him really fun to use. The downside is his transformation into Demon King Ganon, because that's one of my least favorite bosses in the game. I also liked his voice and victory theme much better in Brawl and Wii U. Still, he isn't as low as Link or Zelda because his amazing power makes up for some of those problems. Number 64, Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. isn't a bad character, but Lemmy is easily my favorite Koopaling, so he distracts me from Bowser Jr. quite a bit. Judging by my playtime alone, I would probably put Bowser Jr. in E tier because I don't use him very often, but I also include him in my Smash Bros. Stories a lot, and that helps him stay in D tier instead. Number 63, Samus. I don't play Samus very often, so that brings her down to D tier. However, I really like her colors, and I have a fun memory from when I was about 8 years old. In Brawl, I used Samus' Final Smash alongside Rob's and Mario's Final Smashes, and I had a lot of fun doing that. Pit can relate to some of this, and he's actually next. I normally use Pit as a CPU, and he can sometimes get really annoying to fight, but I like some of his moves, his white color scheme, and the way he reacts during certain Palutena's Guidance conversations. Number 61, Joker. I'm not very attached to Joker because I've mostly been a part of the Mario community throughout my life. In fact, the first Mario game I ever played was New Super Mario Bros. Wii, so Mario characters naturally get more of my attention. However, Joker has two bright sides. I like the dark poison looking effect he gives other characters with some of his attacks, and I think his Final Smash is really cool. Those qualities keep him from ranking any lower. Number 60, King Dedede. I really like King Dedede's attacks, especially the powerful moves with his giant hammer. The problem is that I like him much better in Brawl because he felt funnier in that game. I'm not as interested in how they changed him for Wii U and Ultimate. However, even Brawl Dedede has one major downside. I absolutely hate his crowd chant because it sounds so annoying. Number 59, Bayonetta. The main thing that I like about Bayonetta is her neutral special. I think it looks really cool when she uses both her hands and feet to fire her attacks. However, she is one of my less played characters, and her overall style isn't really for me. So, even though her neutral special stands out, I don't feel attached enough to Bayonetta to place her any higher. Number 58, Chrom. I know Chrom is a very good character when it comes to attack power and movement. However, he still ranks this low for two reasons. First, I am awful at fighting against Chrom players online, so those battles can get really frustrating. Second, Lucina takes most of my attention because I use and prefer her much more. Chrom is definitely strong, but my online experiences and my attachment to Lucina keeps him in D tier. Number 57, Shulk. Shulk goes next. Pyra and Mithra takes a lot of my attention away from him, so I don't use or think about Shulk as much. I'm also not a big fan of his victory theme because it feels a little too long. However, one bright side is his neutral special. I think switching between the different Monado arts is really cool, and that helps keep him from ranking any lower. Number 56, Mii Gunner. I don't like the Mii fighters as much as I like the regular All-Star fighters, so that already brings all three of them down for me. However, Mii Brawler and Mii Sword Fighter rank higher because I enjoy their attacks more. Mii Gunner is my least favorite of the three because some of the attacks can be difficult for me to land. That makes Mii Gunner less enjoyable to use and keeps the character in D tier. Number 55, Cloud. Cloud is a really cool character because he has amazing attacks, a great Final Smash, and an interesting stage hazard. The biggest problem is his victory theme. He feels like it never stops because it lasts way too long. I enjoy almost everything else about Cloud, but that victory theme keeps him from ranking higher. Number 54, Ken. I don't really see any major weaknesses with Ken. One of his biggest bright sides is his special attacks. I think it's funny when he shouts the name of an attack while using it, which gives him a lot of personality. I also prefer his up special over Ryu's because it feels more powerful to me. Ken may not be one of my absolute favorites, but there is still a lot I enjoy about him. And that wraps up the D tier. Now we're moving on to C tier, which has 29 characters, the most out of any tier on this list. The tier includes quite a few characters that some of you probably really like. There's also a small update. Wolf has moved higher than where I originally placed him. Let's get started with C tier. Number 53, Mario. I placed the main fighter Mario exactly in the middle of the entire ranking. I don't think he's the best character, but he also isn't bad at all. His moves are simple, balanced, and easier for almost everyone to understand, which makes him a great character for beginners. However, because he doesn't stand out to me as much as the fighters ranked higher, the exact middle feels like the perfect placement for him. Number 52, Dr. Mario. Dr. Mario is one spot above Lego Mario. He may be slower, but I like that his attacks feel more powerful. That extra strength makes him a little more enjoyable for me. Don't just let Dr. Mario send you to the emergency room because you'll never know what kind of treatment he might give you. Number 51, Sonic. Sonic is okay with me. My main concern is his victory theme because I'm not really a fan of it. But I do love his voice in Sonic Adventure DX because the way he talks in that game can be really funny. It makes me laugh. So even though his victory theme brings him down, his funny voice helps him stay in C tier. Number 50, Jigglypuff. Some of you might be surprised that Jigglypuff is this low because she's one of the 4 main fighters in my Smash Bros. Stories, but when I actually play as her, she feels so slow, and some of her attacks take a lot of getting used to. Rest is also very risky, and her shield breaking disadvantage can be terrible. I really like using Jigglypuff in my stories, but gameplay wise, those weaknesses keep her in C tier. Number 49, Wii Fit Trainer. Wii Fit Trainer may not be someone I play often enough to place in B or A tier, but I honestly don't see many weaknesses from her. I like that she can heal herself and receive a temporary boost, which makes her more enjoyable to use. I also can't remember her ever seriously annoying me during a battle. The main thing holding her back is simply that I don't play her very often. Number 48, Toon Link. I wouldn't place Toon Link any lower because I really like his pirate ship stage. It's a very fun stage and gives me another reason to appreciate him. I also love one of his victory poses where he chases after a pig, trips, and falls down on his bottom. That animation is so funny and gives Toon Link a lot of personality. Number 47, Pac-Man. A couple of years ago, I used to have a lot of fun playing Pac-Man's stage, so that gives me a good memory connected to him. I also think his design is cool, and I like that he's always smiling. However, his moveset and attack power don't really put me in the mood to play as him. I'm also not a fan of his victory theme or his main music. Those positives keep him in C tier, but the gameplay and music prevent him from going higher. Number 46, Roy. Roy is really cool when it comes to his attacks. My favorite part of his moveset is his neutral special, and I also love the fiery attacks he uses with his sword. His power reminds me of some of the things I enjoy about Crumb's attacks too. I also like some pictures of Fire Emblem Roy, and I like Roy Koopa from the Mario series as well. I don't see any major weaknesses from Roy, but I really choose him over the characters in B or A tier. That's the main reason he stays in C tier. Number 45, Sora. Sora ranks this high for a couple of reasons. His attacks are really cool, and I especially like his Final Smash. He traps the opponents behind the keyhole, locks it, and causes a huge explosion, which looks amazing. I also really like the Kingdom Hearts song playing right now. His moves, Final Smash, and music all help Sora earn a good placement in C tier. Number 44, Piranha Plant. I don't really see any major weaknesses with Piranha Plant. One thing I really like is the victory pose, where Mario jumps into the pipe and Piranha Plant eats him. I think that victory pose is really funny. I also like the side special, where Piranha Plant spits poison at the opponents. Those attacks and animations give the character a lot of personality, and help it rank this high. Number 43, Mewtwo. Mewtwo is a very good character when it comes to attack power. I really like the down special because it can stun an opponent and leave them in open for another attack. His Final Smash is also really cool because it traps the opponents for a moment before the attack explodes and launches them away. Mewtwo still isn't my favorite Pokemon, but he has enough strong and interesting attacks to earn a solid place in C tier. Number 42, Ike. I originally thought about placing Ike below C tier, but that felt too low because there are still some things I really like about him. His Final Smash is especially cool because all of the powerful sword attack he uses. However, one weakness is his voice in Ultimate. I preferred how Ike sounded in Brawl and Wii U, so that changes prevents him from ranking any higher. Number 41, Pikachu. I've had some fun experience playing as Pikachu, but there's one attack that makes me nervous. His side special. If I use it at the wrong time, I'm scared that I might not get another chance to recover. Pichu can relate because Pichu almost have the same attack. Still, I've had enough fun with Pikachu to keep him in C tier. Number 40, Diddy Kong. I use Diddy Kong fairly often, and even though he isn't usually my type of character, I still find him pretty funny. His taunts are entertaining, his voice makes me laugh, and his Final Smash is really good because it can KO multiple opponents. Those things help him earn a place in C tier. Donkey Kong is much funnier to me, and I'll explain why later in the video. Number 39, Kazuya. Kazuya has a couple of things that bring him down. I don't like his clapping reaction because he looks uninterested, almost like he's thinking meh. I also don't really enjoy any of the music from his series. However, his attack combinations are amazing and can be extremely powerful when they connect. Those combos are good enough to keep Kazuya in C tier. Number 38, Ryu. Ryu's render isn't my favorite, but I use him pretty often because he can be a little funny. I also really like the song Hadoken by Lucas Nocte, which makes me think of Ryu. Those things put him slightly above Kazuya. Number 37, Sephiroth. There are a few things about Sephiroth that I really don't like. I'm not a fan of his victory theme or the fire background used during his victory poses. In team battles, when he isn't standing in the front, he sometimes looks away, like he doesn't even care that the team won. However, I really like his neutral special, and I find many of his attacks are easy to land. Because of those strong gameplay positives, I wouldn't say Sephiroth is a bad character, so C tier feels fair. Number 36, Mii Brawler. Mii Brawler is my brother's favorite character, and I like the character too. Whenever I land an attack, it feels powerful and satisfying, which makes Mii Brawler fun to use. However, Mii Brawler is still placed a few spots below Mii Sword Fighter, and I'll explain the reason for that later in the video. Number 35, Rosalina and Luma. Rosalina and Luma don't have the easiest attacks for me to land, but Rosalina is still one of the most gorgeous characters in the game. I've heard other people say that Rosalina and Luma are among the least played characters, and I honestly don't understand why. I also really like their Final Smash, where Rosalina creates a huge star that damages the opponents before exploding. Even though I don't play Super Mario Galaxy, I still think Rosalina are great characters and deserve this placement in C tier. Number 34, Steve. The main downside of Steve is his up special. It can be difficult for me to control, which sometimes makes recovering and landing safely harder. However, I think it's pretty amazing that Minecraft was added to Smash as DLC. There are also several fun details that bring all 4 Minecraft characters higher on my list. I enjoy letting them stand still while listening to the cows moo, the villagers speak, and the zombies roar in the background. Those sounds almost feel like Minecraft lo-fi music to me. Alex has my favorite colors and design, while Zombies is the funniest of the 4. Number 33, Mii Sword Fighter. Mii Sword Fighter doesn't have the strongest attacks overall, but he is still my favorite of the 3 Mii fighters. Whenever I successfully land one of his cooler attacks, it feels really satisfying to watch. Mii Brawler may have a good Final Smash, but I really like Mii Sword Fighter's Final Smash too. Those satisfying attacks and his Final Smash make him the highest ranked Mii fighter on my list. Number 32, Mr. Game & Watch. A fighter who only has 2 dimensions? What in the world? I really like Mr. Game & Watch because nearly everything he does comes with a funny sound. His unusual animations and sound effects give him a lot of personality. The downside is that some of his attacks are confusing for me to aim and land. He is also very lightweight, so getting hit by a powerful attack can become the worst case scenario very quickly. Even with those weaknesses, he is still funny and enjoyable enough to earn his placement. Number 31, Duck Hunt. The main downsides of Duck Hunt are the music and victory theme, because I'm not really a fan of either one. However, I absolutely love Duck Hunt's Final Smash. 5 wild gunmen appear and start firing at the trapped opponents, which makes the whole attack look extremely chaotic and crazy. That Final Smash is one of the biggest reasons Duck Hunt ranks this high. Number 30, Villager. The reason I like Villager more than Isabelle is that both the male and female villagers are among my top 5 characters in Mario Kart. I also enjoy using Villager in Smash because he gives me a fun experience. His downsides are that he feels pretty slow, and some of his attacks can be difficult for me to land. However, the unusual attacks that Villager and Isabelle use make me feel like I'm watching a magic show, which gives Villager a lot of charm. Number 29, Wolf. Number 28, Fox. Number 27, Falco. Here's a fun fact about all 3 Star Fox characters. Fox and Wolf used to be ranked much lower than C tier, but they eventually joined Falco in C tier. Their Final Smashes are all really cool, and the Star Fox victory theme is my favorite victory theme in the game. Wolf is the lowest of the 3 because I don't like that he's a villain. Fox ranks a little higher because he is very fast, and his attacks are easy for me to land. Falco is my favorite of the 3 because I think he has the best design. I enjoy using all 3 of them whenever I want a fun experience. Number 26. Hero. I'm not a big fan of Hero's victory theme, which keeps him from ranking any higher. However, his down special, Command Selection, is awesome because it gives you so many different options to choose from. I also really like his side special. When you hold it down long enough, it creates a powerful lightning attack that looks really cool. Those special moves are the main reasons Hero ranks this high. Number 25. Min Min. Min Min is the final character in C tier. The main thing keeping her from reaching B or A tier is her moveset. Her attacks are some of the most confusing for me to control, and I have a very hard time landing them on opponents. Unfortunately, that prevents her from moving any higher. However, I really like her Final Smash, and her music is also very good. Those positives are enough to make her the highest character in C tier. And that finishes C tier. Now we're moving on to B tier, where we start getting into some of the best characters on my list. Before we continue though, I need to make one correction. I originally counted Pokemon Trainer as one character, but I'm counting Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard separately. Because of that, we're jumping from number 25 to number 22. Don't worry though, we're still ranking every character. So number 22 it is. Corrin. My brother absolutely hates Corrin. Corrin is literally his least favorite character. He's a little more okay with female Corrin, but male Corrin keeps beating him up whenever they fight. Corrin used to be lower on my list too, but then I listened to Lost and Thoughts All Alone, and I could not stop listening to it. It became one of my favorite songs, and Corrin's victory theme is also in my top 3. That made me move Corrin much higher, but trust me brother, Corrin is not going any higher than this. Number 21. Bowser. Bowser is an incredibly fun character to play as. Even though he's a large and powerful fighter, he can still move surprisingly quickly. He's also a great villain to use in my Smash Bros. Stories because he fits into so many different situations. I honestly don't see any major weaknesses that affect how much I enjoy him, so Bowser earns a solid place in B tier. Number 20. Daisy. Daisy ranks this high even though I don't play her very often in Smash. In Mario games that don't include Baby Peach, Daisy is actually my second favorite character to play as. She doesn't come close to being second favorite character in Smash though, because there are many other fighters I enjoy more. Still, my love for Daisy in the Mario series helps her earn a place in B tier. Number 19. Donkey Kong. The main downside of Donkey Kong is his voice in Smash, because it sounds like more of a real animal than the voice I'm used to hearing in other Donkey Kong and Mario games. However, Donkey Kong is one of the funniest characters for me to use in my Smash Bros. Stories. His reactions are hilarious, his Final Smash is great, his face looks especially funny whenever he gets hit by a pitball. I also love using his voice clips from games like Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario Party, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because they fit him perfectly in my stories. One of the favorite jokes is having Donkey Kong perform his down taunt like a victory pose after attacking someone, only for the other fighter to get revenge immediately afterward. He celebrates way too early, and then always makes me laugh. Number 18. Incineroar. The main reason Incineroar ranks as high as his Final Smash, it's honestly one of my favorite Final Smashes in the entire game. According to my battle data, Incineroar is also one of the characters I've used the most Final Smashes with. He attacks the opponent over and over in the air before slamming them into the ring, and I love using it in versus matches just for a fun experience. Number 17. Kirby. I first played as Kirby in Brawl, where he was one of my top 3 characters. In Ultimate, he became one of the main characters in my Smash Bros. Story series, so he is still very important to me. However, he doesn't make me my top 3 in this game for 2 reasons. First, there are a few other characters I like more. Second, I don't like how Kirby's voice was changed in Wii U and Ultimate. Those things keep Kirby from ranking any higher. Number 16. Luigi. One reason I like Luigi is that I feel bad whenever I see him scared. It makes me care about him and want things to go well for him. I also really enjoy his down special, the Luigi Cyclone. Using that move to launch and KO opponents is always a fun experience for me. Those qualities help Luigi earn his place in B tier. Number 15. Marth. A lot of players I've seen prefer Lucina over Marth because of Marth's tipper mechanic. His sword attacks become much stronger when the very tip of the blade connects, but lining that up can be very difficult. Lucina doesn't have that mechanic, so her attacks are more consistent. I still like Marth because I thought he was really good in Brawl, and that appreciation carried over to Ultimate. I do rank Lucina higher, but the timber mechanic is not the reason. Marth is still a cool character, and I'll explain why I prefer Lucina later. Number 14. Mega Man. Outside of his attacks, I think Mega Man is a great character. His design is awesome, his victory theme is in my top 3, and his final smash is really cool, but his attacks can be very difficult for me to land. Sometimes I try to do another move, but I accidentally press the basic attack, and start firing those little arm cannon shots instead. A lot of his other attacks also don't feel very strong to me. Still, his design, victory theme, and final smash are big enough positives to keep him in B tier. Number 13. Wario. Some of Wario's attacks aren't the best, and I really don't like 2 of his 3 victory animations, but his final smash is my favorite final smash in the whole game. Wario is also really funny when he gets a star KO or even a regular KO, and using this bike in my Smash Bros stories creates so many fun and chaotic moments. That's why Wario ranks this high. Number 12. Snake. Snake was originally going to be placed much lower in C tier, but my brother told me how strong he can be, which made me appreciate him more. I also enjoy listening to Snake's codec conversations about the Brawl characters because his reactions can be really entertaining. His main downside is that he feels very slow to move around. Other than that, knowing how powerful he can be keeps him from ranking any lower and earns him a place in B tier. And that finishes B tier. Now we're moving even higher to A tier. This is where we reach the characters I care about more personally. I have a stronger connection to many of these fighters, whether it comes to playing as them, using them in my Smash Bros stories, or simply enjoying their personalities and the designs. Number 11. Mythra. Mythra is the first character in A tier. I like how fast she is compared with Pyra, and her final smash is really cool because it continuously damages an opponent across a wide area. However, Mythra isn't as powerful as Pyra. Pyra comes next at number 10. She may feel like one of the slowest characters in the game, but she makes up for it with incredible power, and her attacks are very easy for me to land. Overall, I prefer Pyra, but both characters are great enough to belong in A tier. Number 9. Yunlink. One thing I really like about Yunlink is his down taunt. He takes a drink from the bottle, and then he smiles afterward. I'm not exactly sure what he's drinking, but I really like seeing him smile. I also use Yunlink as the main villain in my Super Smash Bros. Story series. The only problem is that he ends up going to jail pretty often, but honestly that's normal for him by now. Number 8. Zero Suit Samus. The main reason I like Zero Suit Samus is her final smash. She fires the Zero Laser from the background at the opponents, and I think that whole attack looks really cool. One downside is that Lucario's final smash feels very similar to hers, so it doesn't seem as unique as I would like. Even so, Zero Suit Samus' version is still one of the biggest reasons she ranks this high. Number 7. Lucas. According to my battle data, Lucas is the character I've played as the most in the entire game. That's because I love doing almost everything with him. He stops here in A tier because I care about the characters coming after him just a little more. But even though Lucas isn't at the very top, having the most playtime proves how much I still care about him. Number 6. Ice Climbers. The Ice Climbers look so gorgeous whenever they smile that sometimes I can't stop looking at them. I also really like their victory theme, their appearance in Brawl, and the stage hazards connected to them. One of my favorite details is their chanting and cheering in Brawl because it sounds so fun. All of those things make the Ice Climbers feel very special to me and help them rank this high in A tier. We're at the top 5 now. Terry. My favorite thing about Terry is his final smash, Triple Wolf. The powerful punches and attacks he performs during it looks really cool. I also recently learned that some of Terry's attacks can work differently depending on how you perform them. That makes his moveset more interesting and gives you different ways to use his attack power. Number 4. Richter. Now it's time for the moment of truth. Why I do love Richter even though I hate Simon. Richter's render looks angry, but I don't really mind it. His Grand Cross final smash feels great to use, and I think the entire attack looks awesome. Richter also appears in Dead by Daylight, which is the other main game I feature on my second channel. That connection between 2 games I enjoy is a huge reason Richter makes my top 5. Number 3. Yoshi. Yoshi makes my top 3 because he is my favorite character throughout the Mario games. I love playing as him in games like Super Mario Party, Mario Tennis Aces, and Mario Sonic at the Olympic Games, etc, etc. My appreciation for him in those games carried over into Smash Bros. His moveset can be pretty wild and unusual, but I've gotten used to it over time. That personal connection is what earns Yoshi a place in my top 3. Number 2. Lucina. I love Lucina, she is my favorite Fire Emblem character. The main reason I rank her above Marth comes from when I searched for scenes from Fire Emblem Awakening to learn more about her. I found the emotional Marth No More scene where Crumb hugs Lucina, and that moment made me care about her more. It gave me a stronger connection to Lucina and helped me raise her this high on my list. That finishes everyone in A tier, but wait a second. There's still one more tier left to go, and that's the S tier. And only one character is in that tier. If I would choose any character to be on that tier, it has to be Ness. Ness is my favorite character because of the history I have with him. The first time I remember seeing him was in a video where Pac-Man was attacking him. Later, when I first played Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I naturally chose Yoshi, but Ness became the first challenger who approached me. After unlocking him, I went to training mode to investigate who he was, and I thought his psychic powers were incredibly cool. That is also similar to how I started liking Marth. I tested him out to learn more about him and ended up really enjoying him. Then I discovered Lucas, who looked and played somewhat like Ness, and I thought both of their designs and powers were awesome. When Ultimate released, it was the first time I saw their new designs, and I liked Ness's new appearance much more than his Brawl design. I also cared about his new voice and didn't want anything bad to happen to him. Over time, that connection made Ness my favorite character, and that is why he is the only fighter who belongs in the S tier. And there you have it, that is my complete Super Smash Bros. Ultimate character tier list, from my least favorite character all the way to Ness in S tier. Remember, this is based on how much I personally love and enjoy the characters, not just how powerful they are. Let me know who your favorite character is in the comments, and tell me which placements surprised you the most. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. And Ness, congratulations, you're still number 1.